Welcome everyone to LuchaWorld Podcast episode 73. Fredo Esparza here. This week's show, we have a lot to talk about. Lucha Underground finally will be on Netflix. AAA and CMLL both releasing their complete lineups for their upcoming big shows in March. The Crash this past Saturday with a lot of news, some surprises. Looks like it was a fun show. Also this past Friday, CMLL show. Good show. The main event was definitely one of the best matches you're going to see. We'll also be talking about Juventud Guerrera's new album, Juicy Madness, which dropped this past week. I'll give a review on it. I only listened to the previews on iTunes. I think I only listened to one song complete through it was on YouTube. So if you haven't listened to that, I think you guys should probably go out of your way to look for that. I don't know if I should say that, or I don't know if I should say that you should go out of your way to listen to it. But if you do, just let me know. Let me know on Twitter what you thought of the album. If you listen to the entire album, like you actually bought it, let me know what the entire album sounds like. Like I said, I only listen to the previews. Be sure to visit our sponsors, Designed by Humans and Amazon.com. If you haven't signed up yet for our podcasts, for every podcast, our service on LuchaWorld.podbean.com, where you're going to get the Lucha Classica podcast. You could find LuchaWorld Podcast, Slam and Stand, all the interviews we've done in the past. The Slam and Stand still, I think I'm at 6 or 7. Still need to fix about 70 or 80 more shows. Mostly because we did those over the phone, and if you guys have never done podcasts over the phone, they don't really, they're not as loud as they are when you're doing it on Skype or like a service where you have the option of recording in stereo. So you basically have mono audio recordings of podcasts. As part of the LuchaWorldPodbean.com service, if you sign up, there's going to be a subscription service on there for the Lucha Classica podcast. There'll probably be a couple of other podcasts that we might add down the road. The subscription price is only going to be $2.95 per month. Nothing too expensive. I was going to go on Patreon and do that, but then like if you go on Patreon, everybody has to like come up with other things to add to it, and I thought, just doing the podcast and maintaining Lucha World, I think that's enough. I'm not really going to be worried. So I just kind of went down the middle, $2.95 per month. That's good. I'm not going to ask for $5, $10. $5 you get something, $10 you get something. I'm not going to worry about that. $2.95 per month. If you want to order it, cool. We appreciate it. Visit LuchaWorld.com, the website, of course. Those of you who find the site, those of you who find the podcast through iTunes or or Stitcher or Google Play. We just got on Google Play about I think a month ago. I realized I could add it to that. I actually had to fix the RSS feed just to get to Google Play. So we're on that also. So you can find LuchaWorld, just the LuchaWorld podcast on there. You could follow us on Twitter. Kurt is on Twitter as @VandalDrummond. I'm on Twitter as @TheRealFredo or @LuchaWorld. So let's get to the news because we got plenty to talk about. I should give an update. As of right now, no one has left AAA. No one new has left AAA. So if you were wondering if there was going to be any more news of somebody else leaving AAA, as of right now, no one has left. The last person to have left is El Zorro. Maybe by the time you guys listen to this show, there will be somebody else that has left. So far, nobody has left. There's actually a possibility of new talent coming in. We'll talk about that in a bit. But first, Lucha Underground news. We finally have some news for Lucha Underground. Everybody's been wondering when they would be on Netflix. Ever since they started airing the show, people have been wondering when they would be on Netflix. Well, we finally got confirmation through Lucha Underground from the mainstream media websites that post the March schedules that were posting the March schedules for Netflix. It will begin on March 15th, which was the date that Crew Demon from Mexico had also been told. March 15th, it'll be available on Netflix, the first two seasons, which are actually the two good seasons. So if you have not watched Lucha Underground because you don't have El Rey Network or don't have another way of finding the Lucha Underground TV shows online, or never bought it on iTunes or Amazon, you can now find it on Netflix on March 15th. The first two seasons, highly recommend both seasons. They're really good shows. I would say the first season was outstanding. I think that there was one show that was actually the early shows may be like the weaker ones, but there was one towards the middle that was kind of just in the good range, but everything else was excellent. So first season's worth it. Second season was good as well. The third season's been the one that's been more of a struggle. I mean, you have some fans who are really into Lucha Underground that won't nitpick the shows at all, but the third season has been very difficult to watch. Hopefully, when it returns, it'll be a lot better. And I think it's also kind of harder to watch because you have all the problems that are coming up with AAA. So there's a bad taste to enjoying the show because some of the guys are going through some tough times with AAA. Which we go to our next big story of the past week. Pro Wrestling Sheet posted a story on how AAA sent out a cease and desist letter to a smaller indie promotion out of San Diego, Pacific Coast Wrestling. They were sent by the main company, the company that handles Lucha Libre AAA and Lucha Underground, which is Lucha Libre FMV. That's the company that they kind of created to handle everything. So they sent out a letter, poorly written letter too. I mean, they wrote in English. But I think they could have found somebody who could have written it a lot better. I have no idea why they didn't do that. Kind of shows how shitty they have a lot of attorneys that work for them. I think it kind of looked like it was just like Google Translate it into the letter for some reason. Well, basically they sent them a cease and desist letter that told them that they could not use Penta, Zero M, and Rey Fenix on their shows because they, according to the letters, Lucha Libre FMB owns the intellectual property that is Penta, Zero M, and Rey Fenix. Only they were using all the wording of all the names that they used for, Pentagon Jr., Penta Zero M, all the names that they registered, Rey Fenix, Phoenix El Rey. PCW sent them a letter, a far better written letter. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand, the AAA's attorneys Spanish, but I think if you're an attorney, you could find someone who could translate it properly for you to make it look at least presentable. They basically told them that they were going to continue, and at no point would they promote them under any name that is registered by AAA or Lucha Libre FMB or under that group. They basically said they will only promote them as Rey Fenix and Penta Zero M. They included the trademark registrations for Rey Fenix in the U.S., where he actually did file it in October 2016. They also mentioned how Lucha Libre FMV tried to register that name in late January actually, and they also included Penta Zero M's file registration from Mexico that he actually posted online when he mentioned that all that stuff. It's a big mess right now. I mentioned this on Twitter that I think this is something that if Lucha Underground, because Lucha Underground, a lot of people think, someone asked me, why can't Lucha Underground just continue without AAA? Well, the problem is AAA does own Lucha Underground. There are part owners in that with El Rey and other people, other group of investors involved. And really what I think there's going to have to, the resolution to this is, I mentioned this on Twitter, the resolution is going to have to come from, the other investors, the El Rey network, other people involved. Although I'm guessing some of those guys don't really give a fuck about that. They just invested. They just want to see the money, the return and all that, and the return in the investment. I don't think they're going to get too involved in that. I think they figure let the wrestling people handle the wrestling stuff. They're not worried about that. And I think this is a situation where they need to get an arbitrator just to figure out, just to resolve it. Because I think this is just going to keep going in circles. AAA keeps registering names. So you're basically, if you're registering a name in the U.S., it costs you about $250 to $300. It's gonna, in Mexico, I'm not sure what it costs, but in Mexico, it's gonna cost them something. And just to like, it's funny because Rey Fenix was talking about how he knew more or less that he wasn't gonna get the name in Mexico because how Mexico works, he kind of knew he was screwed. But in the U.S., he basically does. I think he already got the registration. I think it's in the last time I checked, it was in process. So, and since he was like 4 to 5 months ahead of AAA, I'm guessing he has it. It was funny because they did this press conference in Monterrey for Llaves y Candados. La Rebelión was there. Rey Fenix, Penta el Cero M, Daga, and Garza Jr. They were there to promote the Crash. The Crash's promoter was there as well. They were there to talk about the Crash coming to Monterrey. I think it's April 9th for Llaves y Candados. And they were asking Rey Fenix they were asking all these guys about the names and all the issue that they've been having with AAA. And Rey Fenix was, his comment about the whole situation with AAA was, he basically was talking about how every name he comes up with, AAA files, and he kind of made it, he's like, it doesn't matter how many names, I'm gonna keep coming up with names. Even if I get to Rey Fenix 2,500, I'll file that name. They could file it. I'll let them, like, if they're gonna waste that money, they can waste that money. And then he made this comment: who's gonna get tired first? Me coming up with more names or AAA registering so many more names? It's funny because Rey Fenix was talking about this, and Ripper, the guy Psychosis, he was telling me that he actually went through this when we were interviewing him. He also mentioned how this is basically what he had to go through with AAA, and he basically said what the solution is. He has an attorney. When they do something, his attorney responds. So it's like you just keep going. It just keeps going in circles. It's never ending. And I'm guessing this is now Rey Fenix and Penta El Zero M as they're gonna have to go through this as well now with AAA. And like I said, Lucha Underground, great news about them being on Netflix on March 15th. And then you get this other news about them, this whole situation with Rey Fenix, Penta Zero M. And the other reason I think they need to get an arbitrator is because Rey Fenix and Penta Zero M both have said that they love working for Lucha Underground. They like being part of that promotion. But, the longer this drags out, the more they're probably going to wonder, what's the point of us continuing with this when Dorian Roldan, Joaquin, and Maricela are all part of AAA. And Lucha Underground, they show up. I mean, Dorian's there every single time that they do a taping for Lucha Underground. The Roldans are there as well. Maricela and Joaquin are there every once in a while. You see them seated sometimes ringside, although I don't remember if they were there as often in the later seasons, but they were there a lot in the first season. I would think this is going to just wear them out and like maybe just have them like end up going to court and asking to just end the contract and let them go from that promotion for some. I think that's what's going to end up happening just because it's dragging out so long. More AAA news. They actually announced that they have a new director of talent and his name is Vampiro. Yeah, and he talked about how AAA isn't just one wrestler. It's the promotion, which is great when you say that, but it also kind of kills the whole purpose of a lot of guys. Really, like the loyalty aspect of it kind of like dies with it. Because I mean, if you think, and it's true, I mean, AAA loses talent all the time. They've had other guys like Aerostar was on Enmascarados, and he was talking about how they were asking him what he thought about so much talent leaving AAA, and he kind of mentioned, there's always talent leaving. I mean, he was part of Fuerza Aria, and he mentioned how Reiko Meta and Loretto Kid and all these other guys have left in the past. He's like, and AAA continues. He's like, this is part of the process. And, it's great and all, but I think those guys, like, there was a little more loyalty towards Antonio Peña. And I think the Roldans don't have that. They don't have that aspect of the relationship with a lot of the wrestlers. Because, I mean, they've already lost, I mean, countless guys. There is no loyalty within that other than La Parca and La Parca is pretty much in a similar situation that Octagon was at one point. It's just a matter of when they grow tired of him, that they're probably gonna, kick him to the curb, And right now they're okay with him. He's a favorite of Maricela, so he's still always gonna have a job there. Vampiro, as far as him being director of talent, I don't know. I mean, he's not really highly regarded as far as a wrestler himself. But that doesn't mean he's not going to have a good eye for talent. I mean, there's a lot of guys who've never wrestled. Paul Heyman, he never wrestled and had a good eye for talent. There's been other guys who were amazing wrestlers and have horrible opinions of what good wrestling is. I mean, if you listen to Enmascarados and Podcast Boom and all these different shows or interviews with wrestlers, luchadors, pro wrestlers, if you listen to Observer when they interview people, or Colt Cabana or any other wrestling podcast, and they interview wrestlers who their favorite wrestlers were or people they think have talent, it goes all over the place. I mean, some guys are really good at picking out talent, whereas other guys, I mean, Ray Phoenix, he did that interview and he said one of his favorite female wrestlers was Tiffany. I mean, Tiffany, think about that. I mean, you're watching CMLL and you pick out Tiffany. I mean, I don't know. She seems like a nice person, but come on. So I'm not going to judge. I mean, I don't know. I think we're going to have to wait and see what he brings to the table. I think I'm more concerned about the fact that I don't think Vampiro is like Conan. Conan basically eats, sleeps, dreams wrestling. And, as love him or hate him, he's a guy who will actually watch wrestling. Like, I'm pretty sure if you sent him a video of the most random indie wrestling promotion, he'll watch it. If you tell him there's talent, he'll probably watch it. Whereas Vampiro, I don't think he would watch it. I don't think he's gonna be scouting talent like at DTU like Conan would. And it shows, like, when you watch The Crash, there's always some talent in there that you don't really expect from other places. I think Conan and the guy who promotes Lucha Memes, Danny Ledesma, are really good at that, at watching, trying to find more talent and stuff like that. It's like, it's not everyone does that. CMLL, their people are all over the place when it comes to that. AAA also started the La Llave, La Gloria tryouts. They started this past Saturday. Some of the notable names in the tryouts were actually Astrolux, who is I think he's 15 years old. He might be. I'm guessing he's 15 years old. He looks 15 years old. Hijo de Villano Tercero was on there. Dookie. I think there were a couple of other guys. Mini Pentagoncito. There was a couple. I think there were 2 or 3 other guys that we were able to identify. But Astrolux is definitely somebody they should really get. He's so small, he could fit a minis division, and I think he would be perfect. Like, I don't know why CMLL didn't get him. Well, I know why. I mean, they probably never. He's 15 years old also, so that probably doesn't help. But I think he's probably the guy that, of all the guys there, he's probably the one that they should probably get. I don't know what the child labor laws are in Mexico for him to work in a major promotion. I'm guessing I don't even know if he could work in, like, if they brought him to Lucha Underground, I don't know if he'd have to wait a couple of years. But yeah, he's really talented. I think he's somebody that they should at least sign to groom in the promotion. They had a pretty good crowd of a group of talent they had a lot of people showed up at those tryouts. I think everybody wasn't expecting a lot of people a lot of luchadors to show up. A lot did. They're going to have another tryout, I think in March probably, and then another one in April, I think. So I think they're having one monthly to get talent. So that should be interesting. AAA announced at the same time that CMLL was announcing the Dos Leyendas. Only difference was CMLL held a press conference. AAA released the Rey de Reyes lineup for March 19th on a Sunday. They announced it on Twitter, on their social media. It'll be held at Arena José Suliman, which used to be Arena Solidaridad in Monterrey, Nuevo León. Their lineup looks a little better than CML's Dos Leyendas. If you if you if you if you just take out if you just think of the main event for CML Dos Leyendas, Rey de Reyes is a lot better than Dos Leyendas. I don't know if it's going to be on VOD or iPay-per-view, but the lineup, they have an opener that they haven't announced the lineup for the match. They haven't announced the talent, anyone for that, the opener. Second match is going to be a Reina de Reinas number one contenders match. I thought they were going to do Lady Shani versus Taya automatically based off what I saw and heard. I guess they may change their mind. They're going to have a Reina de Reinas number one contenders match. Fabi Apache versus Mary Apache versus La Hiedra versus Lady Shani versus Luchadora Sorpresa versus Goya Kong versus Big Mommy. I'm guessing Luchadora Sorpresa might be Lady Apache. If not Lady Apache, I would guess it's probably going to be one of the Lucha Underground women. I'm guessing. I don't even know if that's possible because they haven't even been bringing in talent for those shows. And right now, AAA is a total mess because TNA is working with the Crash. Lucha Underground's talent is on the Crash. And other than Johnny Mundo, everybody else from Lucha Underground is on the Crash. I mean, the Mac, Brian Cage. When I talk about the Lucha Underground people, I'm talking about the guys who you wouldn't consider AAA. Like, so you have Brian Cage, the Mac. There's a couple of other people that have been on Lucha Underground. It's weird. I don't know what's going on with AAA. I don't know who the Luchadora Sorpresa is going to be. I'm guessing it's Lady Apache. The third match will be Taya defending against the winner of the Reina de Reinas number one contenders match. They will then have a Reina de Reinas title match. I'm guessing it's going to be Taya versus Lady Shani. I don't think they're going to go with the Apaches. The fourth match, this is the beginning of the weirdness of AAA booking under the Roldan family. Dark Cuervo and Dark Scoria will face Pagano and Messias in a cage match where the winning team will earn a shot at the AAA World Tag Team titles. If you haven't been following AAA, Pagano and Messias have been teaming up, but they always have issues. So they're basically having a tag match and Dark Cuervo and Dark Scoria are the two guys who were abandoned by El Zorro. So I think it's funny that they have Pagano and El Messias doing this angle of them being, they don't want to be teaming together, but they are. And then you'll find out why, as I mentioned, the match after the sixth match on this card. The fifth match, Aerostar versus Superfly, Mask versus Hair. That should be good. Aerostar has been like selling the whole. He was severely injured in the last match. He did an interview where he talked about like how his waist was injured and I think now something else was hurt from, I think his leg or something was bothering him. That was all that was left. But that he should be fine for this match. That should be good. Sixth match, Psycho Clown and Dr. Wagner Jr. team up to face Murder Clown and Monster Clown in a Falls Count Anywhere match. As I said, Pagano and Messias are doing the partners who don't get along gimmick. And now in the sixth match, you have Psycho Clown and Dr. Wagner doing the same thing. So I'm guessing everybody's going to turn on Psycho Clown and he's going to look like a complete idiot in this match because everybody's going to be beating on him. Who knows? Seventh match is for the Rey de Reyes title. Hijo del Fantasma versus Tejano Jr. versus Johnny Mundo. That should be good. Hopefully no one leaves AAA where they have this card and then like they don't air one of these matches just because somebody else left. Although I don't know. I mean, I'm sure somebody will leave. I'm still waiting for Hijo del Fantasma to change his mind again because I mentioned as soon as he made his debut for AAW in Chicago, I figured if once he got the taste of working U.S. Indies, he'd probably want to leave AAA too. I wouldn't be shocked if that happens. Rey de Reyes. I'm guessing Johnny Mundo probably wins that just to build him up because he's like the one guy who probably isn't going to leave at this moment. I think he's like the one person to figure out how to get a deal done before anything else happened. So that's the lineup for Rey de Reyes. Like I said, it sounds like it sounds like a good show, if it's split over 2 weeks. The problem with these shows, like every time there's a like I don't really care about the TV show anymore, like the AAA TV show. It's like because there's so many people have left that it's like I don't think when people tell me that it's pretty good, I don't even think it's as good as they make it sound. And so I try to watch all the big shows. The trouble is now even the big shows, because guys leave after the big events and stuff like that. It's like, why even watch them if they're not going to even show the matches that those guys left? That the guys that left, they're not going to show that match, so you're missing one of those. It's possible this is actually going to be the first show they have where nobody has left. Who knows? But hopefully you guys will check it out and not be as upset as I am with AAA over the mess that they're making of their promotion. Because it is really painful to watch their shows nowadays. And I watched it during the 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004. I think there were a couple years in there that were pretty good. And then 2005, 2006, 2007, and 2008 probably was another bad year. And it's like, this might be the worst year that they've had. I can't think of a worse start to AAA in a long time. I can't think of a time where I just didn't really care about watching their shows. There was always something. I mean, like people were asking me if about the AAA, like some of the shows we would talk about, and it's like, yeah, but you had the minis, you had the women that were pretty good, like the Las Brujas versus Moreno sisters, and then like later on, you kind of had a pretty fun storyline with Billy Boy and Fabi Apache. So you always had something I was interested in watching, and right now, the way it's booked, it's like I don't even give a fuck, So that's CMLL news. Sorry to be like all negative on it, but they want it that way. That's what they get. CMLL. Hey, the other not so great news. CMLL. You guys want me to be positive about CMLL this week? It's pretty down. Actually, there's some good stuff to talk about CMLL this week, so it isn't all bad. It isn't all bad news. CMLL announced their Homenaje a Dos Leyendas lineup for March 17th. That's on a Friday from Arena, Mexico. The show isn't going to be on iPay-per-view live or on... I don't think they're going to stream it. I don't know if they're going to stream it live on Claro Sports. I really don't know. It's possible they might do that. You never know with CMLL. They're so weird about that stuff. But Dos Leyendas, they did confirm that Dos Leyendas would be airing the following day on VOD. It would be available on VOD the following day. So give it about, that's on a Saturday. So maybe Saturday or Sunday or Monday it'll be available. I don't know what the price it will be. You figure somewhere in the $1 to $3 range. Thank God they're not going for an expense. I think if they went beyond $3, I think everybody would be like, fuck no, we're not going to watch this. Even at $3, I don't know if I'm going to want to watch this. The opening match, actually, if you talk about the first five matches don't really sound bad. They actually sound like there's going to be some good matches in there. The sixth match is just like, I think there's a lot of us who like on principle just don't want to order it because we don't want to support a promotion that's willing to give us a bullshit main event with Pierroth and Diamante Azul. The opening match is Estrellita, Marcela, and Princesa Suhei versus Amapola, Zuxis, Tiffany. That should be one of your better women's matches. Plus, the women always work hard in the big events, so that should be good. Second match, I don't even know why even drag Dragon Lee into this show for the second match. How the fuck do you have Dragon Lee in the second match? Dragon Lee, Stuka Jr. and Titan versus Euforia, Gran Guerrero, and Niebla Roja. Yeah, Dragon Lee should be higher on the card. Why? I mean, I think he's okay with it because his dad's the one getting the big payday, and he probably wants to be there to support his dad. Like, if he loses his mask, he's probably going to want to be out there to like share in that big moment. Third match, Atlantis, Caristico, and Marco Corleone versus Rush, La Máscara, and Cranio. I have no idea why Cranio is getting all these appearances lately, like in bigger matches, and I'm wondering if if they're planning on doing something for him, like a mass match or something. That should be okay. The fourth match, Ultimo Guerrero versus Matt Taven for the NWA World Historic Middleweight title. Matt Taven from Ring of Honor. He was there last September, so he looked pretty good last September. It's funny because a lot of people were kind of confused why Matt Taven. And the other thing, I kind of wonder why they didn't go with Sam Adonis for this, because just to get some of that Trump publicity, like for this show where this Mexican superstar beats the Trump supporter on a big show, but they went with Matt Taven. I think it's about even with him and Sam Adonis as far as in the ring. Yeah, there's a lot of people who talk about how there's probably a dozen or so guys in Ring of Honor that they probably pick ahead of Matt Taven. I don't know, CML is using Yoshitatsu, so I don't think they really give a fuck. Fifth match, Místico, Volador Jr, and Valiente defending the CML World Trios titles against Mephisto, Hefesto, and Luciferno, Los Hijos del Infierno. This was initially the way they introduced it. It kind of sounded like they were going to do a CMLL World Trios versus Mexican National Trios matchup. And then the Hijos del Infierno just decided to kill that immediately by suggesting that they were going to renounce the Mexican National Trios titles because they were so confident that they were going to beat Sky Team for the CMLL World Trios titles that they felt it would be easier just to go do that instead, which immediately just confused everyone because you could have just had them drop the belts to the Casas family, who still deserve a shot at those belts for winning that tournament that apparently now kind of seems like one of the many pointless tournaments that CML holds and has already been forgotten. Yeah, so they said that Volador Jr. suggested that instead of them vacating the titles, renouncing the titles, that they should have a title versus title with the winning team keeping both titles, which is a great idea. They haven't really made any comment on whether or not the Hijos del Infierno have renounced the titles, but I think there's 2 more weeks for them to do that, so I think it's possible that's going to happen. And Mephisto's been on Informa so many times that he'll probably drop him at some point on Informa. The main event, the 6th match, the main event. That's right, guys. We're getting Pierroth versus Diamante Azul, mask versus mask match. Sure to be the worst main event match of 2017. Probably the best, probably the worst main event match of the past, since the past 15 years or 20 years or whatever. I've seen some really bad main event. WCW had some really bad main events with Roddy Piper and those guys when they would bring them in, but this is going to be a lot worse because at least Roddy Piper and Hogan and all those guys were over at one point, and people were actually interested in watching those guys, and because they had a backstory to it. Whereas Pierroth and Diamante Azul, nobody gives a fuck about either of those guys. In Mexico, a lot of the fans in Mexico are very upset that Pierroth is putting his mask on the line because he previously wrestled under a different mask, dropped it. He's been on CML TV without his mask in the past, and now they're doing this. It's silly. I just think those of us in the outside of Mexico, we all are kind of more annoyed about this match because it's 2 of the worst guys in CML getting to main event a show that is honoring Villano 3 and that match that Villano 3 had with Atlantis. It's a shame. Villano 3 and Salvador Luteral, to honor them with this is just horrible. Really bad. First 5 matches are good. I wouldn't blame anybody if they didn't order it. I'm still on the fence whether or not I'll order it. And, there's going to be people that are going to just post it online for free anyway. So, this might be the one show where people are just going to request it be pirated just to watch the early stuff and just to see them, just to it's going to be our rebellion. We're all going to be La Rebelión. I forget what their catchphrase is, but this is going to be our rebellion for the fans. Pierroth and Diamante Azul our rebellion against CMLL. You give us shit, we refuse to watch it, for pay for it either. Yeah, so that's horrible. Typical CMLL fashion. They come up with this horrible main event for a show that they think they want to make money off of, not just ticket prices and VODs, iPay-per-views, shit like that. This past Friday's show was good, and the main event was fantastic. Highly recommended. If you haven't watched it, it's on YouTube. I think Cubs Fan will probably post it on. It's actually on the last Lucha report I posted. I have the link on there. You could find it on there. If not, Cubs Fan will post it on Tuesday. By the time you listen to this show, you'll probably find it online. Volador Jr. and Barbaro Cavernario beat Ultimo Guerrero and Valiente to win the Torneo Parejas Increíbles tournament final. Great match. Makes you forget. I don't know if we needed this whole tournament to get to this. This is something that they should do more. I mean, I do think it's funny for a promotion that doesn't have this desire to have tag teams. They basically have Shocker and Negro Casas holding titles while Shocker can't wrestle. I mean, I think Shocker mentioned he had to be out for like a couple of months for his for surgery on his jaw, and Negro Casas has really not been wrestling as much. They haven't even when they're together, even when they're around, they don't team up. The other titles, the Arena Coliseo tag team titles, are held by Black Terry and Negro Navarro. They haven't been defended in CMLL. For a promotion that doesn't really give a fuck about tag team wrestling, they have a lot of possibilities as far as tag. They would have one of the best tag team divisions of all time, really, if you think about it, because if you just had Volador Jr., Barbaro Cavernario doing a little run as a tag team, Ultimo Guerrero and Valiente. I mean, throw in Negro Casas and Caristico teaming up, or Negro Casas and anyone else, really. Puma and Tiger teaming up, Sansón Cuatrero. There's a lot of fun possibilities. Titan and Triton. But they don't do that. But this match was great. I was really surprised because I think Valiente was the first one eliminated. And when he was the first one eliminated, I was about to write how watch Ultimo Guerrero is going to eliminate both these guys, but Rob Viper beat me to that. Sure enough, Ultimo Guerrero got in, eliminated Volador Jr. I thought, here it goes. He's going to eliminate Barbaro Cavernario. He's probably going to break out. He's going to use his Superman strength to escape the Cavernaria, flip him over, and do some sort of suplex that knocks him out and put him in Pulpo Guerrero for the win. But no, that didn't happen. Cavernario got the win with the La Cavernaria. And Barbaro Cavernario and Volador Jr. end up winning. Great match. There were some really good moments in that. The dives into the crowd by Volador Jr. and Barbaro Cavernario. Cavernario did a plancha to the floor on Ultimo Guerrero. Ultimo Guerrero did the spot where he did the deadlift suplex on Volador Jr., where he brings him in from the outer portion of the ring back into the ring and just suplexed him. Really nice move. Fun match. Definitely recommend that. The entire card, other than the Ingobernables match, the rest of the card was pretty good. Ingobernables match was horrible. You guys can skip that. Yoshitatsu was in that match. Yoshitatsu's horrible. This is what's going to happen with CML. They gave us this great match as the main event this past Friday. Next Friday, their main event is Volador Jr. versus Yoshitatsu. This is really going to determine, will Volador Jr. be able to pull out an amazing match out of Yoshitatsu, even if he has a good match or a passable match. This would really make Volador Jr. that would probably win him the Wrestler of the Year in Mexico again for 2017 if he could pull that off. On Saturday, Princesa Suhei beat Zuxis to win the Mexican National Women's Championship at Arena Coliseo, the Sábado Retro show. I was surprised. Eric Sturrock tweeted Lucha Blog and I to let us know that Sábado Retro is still on Fox Deportes. I think it was on Saturday at midnight. I think he tweeted that out. I don't know if that was the time it was airing, but apparently it's still on. I have no idea if they're just switching times, but it was a repeat. So if you haven't seen that, but you still have that channel and you want to keep up with it, it's still on. They're still on repeat mode, but just keep an eye out for that. What's going on? Else is going on with CML? Nothing else. Oh, actually, Shakurcito and Pierrotito are the finalists for the minis tournament. So they'll have next Sunday. They will have their minis, their matchup for the mini CML minis title. Should be a good match. Shakurcito's underrated, really fun to watch. Pierrotito's still good, so that should be good. This past Saturday, the big news: the Crash held their show in Auditorio de Tijuana. They're starting to schedule more shows as I mentioned earlier. They're going to be in Monterey on, I think, April 9th. On March 25th, I think that's the Aguascalientes show. They're also going to be in Tijuana, I think, again. I'm not sure. I think Aguascalientes might be the March 25th show. Not sure. But the show, I mean, people were really, it sounds like it was a fun show. During the show, they announced some new, Conan on his podcast Boom mentioned Cody Rhodes would be on an upcoming Crash show. During the Saturday show, they announced the Young Bucks and Bobby Lashley for March 25th. So that should be good. Young Bucks, really excited to see who they're going to face on that March 25th show. Actually, I think March 25th is the Tijuana show, so I can't remember what the Aguascalientes date is, but I'll check that out later. But I'm for sure there'll be an Aguascalientes as well. First match, Flamita beats Septimo Dragon to retain the Crash Cruiserweight title. After the match, Famous B attacked Flamita and declared himself the next challenger. Famous B, another Lucha Underground guy on the Crash. So, and the other benefit that the Crash is in Tijuana, so a lot of the guys from LA, since a lot of the guys from Lucha Underground are LA or San Diego or Southern California guys, it's easier for them to make it to the Crash shows, whereas AAA is more of traveling around Mexico. Second match, Arcángel Divino, Black Boy, and Oráculo beat Black Danger, Tiago, and Ultimo Maldito. After the match, El Rebelión, Daga, Garza, and Fenix came out and invited Zorro to join them. He accepted. So now at this point, there were now 5 members. I think they even posted I think somebody posted a picture of the t-shirt now with Zorro in it. I don't know if they already made it or if that was just like somebody doing a really good Photoshop job. I think it was a different shirt too, so it might be a new shirt that they came up with. Third match, Bestia 666, Juventud Guerrera and Laredo Kid beat Mascarita Dorada, Willie Mack, and Zumbi. Fourth match, Daga and Rey Fenix. They used the US thing for the, obviously for reasons, for AAA reasons. Daga and Rey Fenix beat Rey Horus and Ricochet. Said to be a great match. Money thrown. Phoenix pinned Ricochet. That sounds like something that I think everybody wants to watch, and hopefully somebody will post it. They haven't posted at the time of recording this podcast, but I hope they post it, and I will definitely watch it. We'll mention it on the next podcast. The fifth match was they switched around the lineup because there was going to be a Lucha Extrema match, and they decided to do that at the end so that they didn't have to waste their time cleaning up in between or anything. The fifth match was Blue Demon Jr., Garza Jr., and Zorro beating Brian Cage, Eli Drake, and Jeff Jarrett. Eli Drake came out to the ring dressed as wearing a blonde wig, claiming to be Hijo de Trump. He cut this really. He did the introductions. He did the reintroductions for Cage, himself, and Jarrett and Karen Jarrett. He got a lot of cheap heat for doing the Hijo de Trump stuff. There were some issues between Brian Cage and his team while they were trying to unmask Blue Demon Jr. He pretty much didn't really get involved with them afterwards. La Rebelión came out to make the save. Rey Mysterio then showed up. He hit a 619. I think it was on the Jarretts. Then afterwards, La Rebelión offered Rey Mysterio a spot in the group, and he agreed to join them. They are doing basically the whole giving the T-shirt to join the group. Kind of everybody at NWO from the NWO on forward. Everybody has done that. So now the group is Rey Mysterio, Penta Zero M, Garza Jr., Daga, Rey Fenix, and El Zorro. They offer Blue Demon a shirt. Way to like lower the and Blue Demon got a really good reaction, but Blue Demon's going to get a lot of reaction because that's he's a lucha, he's a big name in Mexico. You have to remember a lot of people don't think about lucha the way like a diehard fan is going to think about just on work rate and stuff like that, or like if you enjoy his matches or not. You view him as a star no matter what the match is going to look like. They offered Blue Demon a shirt. He declined. This is getting. I mean, I know they're kind of going a little too fast on the group. I mean, I kind of think what they should have done is just kept it with the 4 guys, let those 4 guys build up the group, eventually leading up to like them adding Zorro or whoever else they wanted to add. I actually don't think even Zorro fits the group just because Zorro's older, comes across a little older than those guys. And I think Zorro, his best role is always being like the weird guy and he's always been like the weird guy, like and I don't know if him being with the group really makes sense. Rey Mysterio, the same thing. Rey Mysterio's a big star. I don't think he really needed to be in this group to make it bigger. But with that said, the main event was Masada teaming up with Nicho El Millonario, and they beat Arrow Boy and Violento Jack in a no canvas death match. They basically took off they basically just had the boards on, because the canvas is there to protect, you know what I mean? They had a lot of weapons, barbed wire, everything. They had to escape the ring. I think the barbed wire, I think they took off the ropes and had barbed wire ropes. I'm not really sure. Nicho won the match for his team since they left Arrow Boy in their last. I'm not really sure about that match. Death matches aren't my thing. But that show sounds like it's a fun show. Hopefully there's somebody starts posting matches from that. Should be fun. Other news, if you haven't been on Twitter, don't go on there. Don't go to Melissa Santos' Twitter account because all she'd spent like for several days was complaining about how Brian Cage didn't get any of the press that Sam Adonis has been getting for doing the Trump gimmick. Brian Cage is upset because he did it first, and their whole I think a lot of people have seen us mention this, and they're telling us that gimmick's been around for ages, and how the Gringos Locos, Fabuloso Blondie, everyone, Jeff Jarrett, everybody who's been in Mexico, every gringo that goes to Mexico, Gringo Loco, Love Machine, everybody does that. Everybody does that gimmick in the U.S. In Mexico, I mean, when they go, and even in the U.S., when you do go to small lucha indie shows, they have an American guy doing an anti-Mexico gimmick or anti-Latino gimmick, and but their point is Melissa Santos and Brian Cage's argument. What they're upset about is that Brian Cage came up with the Trump gimmick first. And Sam Adonis is taking all the credit for it. He's not giving credit to them to Brian Cage for coming up with it first. And it's funny because the Crash show, who did the Trump gimmick? Eli Drake, not Brian Cage. Eli Drake did it. And so it's like it's stupid. It's you always get these little arguments in wrestling and in anything really in life, and it's stupid. More big news. If you thought the Crash. If you're wondering who's the next challenger to CMLL and AAA and you're only thinking the Crash is out there, maybe you think Lucha Libre Elite is coming back sometime soon, and you're worried that you don't think either of those promotions can challenge CMLL or AAA for power. Well, maybe this 5th promotion can. Tinieblas Jr.'s full promotion has pretty much changed. They've decided to change the way they're going to run their promotion. They're reorganizing. Alberto El Patron has now gotten involved, and they held a press conference this past week where they talked about their first big event. They're actually running a bunch of shows before this, but this is going to be the big event that they're running. It's going to be Distromania on May 21st, and the main event is going to be Alberto versus Drew Galloway. And they're basically talking about how this is going to be the new the new full promotion and how they're going to start touring in Mexico, and they have a roster of like 150 luchadors, and they're tired. They want to make changes. They're tired of the bad wrestling that they see from CMLL and AAA, and they're tired of all this other stuff. And they picked the right time to talk about bad wrestling, because there's a lot with AAA and their issues, and Pierroth versus Diamante Azul headlining a CMLL show. This was perfect timing to mention bad wrestling. But while they were talking about how they don't want bad wrestling, they're going to have good wrestling, give opportunities to new talent, and they came up with all the names that they're going to use for this show. And although Diamante Jr. mentioned that he did want to focus on the legends, give them credit for what they've done in the past, but it's funny, they didn't. I don't think they mentioned any young talent. It was basically Mil Mascaras and Dos Caras and Tinieblas Senior, Tinieblas Junior, Octagon. So, and then they mentioned a couple of other people that they were going to have on the roster. They also mentioned they're working on having TV. Everybody wants to get on TV. The Crash, you've heard them mention it. Lucha Libre Elite as well. It's weird because Alberto posted an Instagram message where he mentioned he was going to work for Elite, because Elite is on Azteca, not just in Mexico but in the U.S. And on Azteca, there's also Combates America, the MMA group that Alberto works for. So he mentioned he was going to work for Elite as well. And the other guy that they mentioned for Full was Cibernetico, and it's like, you can't say that. I mean, if there's one guy who could probably qualify in the Diamante Azul Pierroth discussion of worst wrestlers in the world, it's Cibernetico. Although he was a lot better when he was at least able to pull off something. He wasn't horrible in CML. He was bad, but he wasn't completely horrible. Let's see what else is going on. Well, also if you're living in Los Angeles, Promociones Cholo de Tijuana is running a show. Oh, it's actually on March 19th. I didn't even think about the date. It's the day of Rey de Reyes. They're running a show in Los Angeles, California, at the world famous Clela Arena. That's where if you live in Los Angeles and you're wondering what that is, that's where UIPW, I think Sabotage Wrestling just had a show there. So there's a lot of people that run shows there. Promociones Cholo de Tijuana will be there. They're bringing in Mano Negra, Dr. Cerebro, Trauma 2, and there is going to be a new Matematico. Trauma 2 is just coming back from wherever he was or whatever happened. I have no idea what went down. Maybe he'll let us know that day why he was MIA from wrestling for so long. Yeah, there's a new Matematico. If you look at the poster, he looks younger. I think he looks familiar to me, but I'll have to see him to figure out more or less if it is who I think it is. And if it is who I think it is, he might actually be really good, or he might be really bad, so I don't know. But that should be a good show. If you're in the Los Angeles area, you should go check that out. I think tickets are $25. A little more expensive. Obviously, I'm guessing they want to pay the Tijuana crew for that. Finally, the other news for the week. Juventud Guerrera's new album dropped this past week. The album title? Juicy Madness. You could find it on iTunes. You could find it on SoundCloud. If you're wondering if it's under Juvi, it's not under Juvi. It's not under Juventud Guerrera. It's under DJ Juice, because he's a DJ. DJ Juice. That's his music. That's his DJ name, I guess. The Juicy Madness dropped. I think I mentioned this in the last podcast. I don't remember if it was this. I do so many between this podcast and the Lucha Talk podcast. I can't remember where I mentioned this. It's basically 6 songs covering six different music genres. So I think each song is supposed to sound like something different, covering a different genre. So I think he mentioned EDM, techno, new metal. I think reggaeton is one of them. So if you like that, you could listen to it. You could download it off iTunes, SoundCloud, like I said. You could also preview it on iTunes. I was able to preview it. The first song that I listened to was Let's Party. The second one was I'll give you the title, the name, the titles of all the 6 songs. Let's Party, Lo Provocaste, Lucha, Fashion and Roll, Listo para la Batalla, Ready for the Fight. I think Ready for the Fight is the new metal one. And the final song, you guys will love this. The title is Juicy Love. And actually, I listened to like clips. I listened to the previews to all 6 songs, and you'd be surprised. The best of the bunch is probably Juicy Love. Although I have no idea what he's talking about with Juicy Love. It sounds so weird, but it's like, yeah. Yeah, you guys, if anyone wants to download it, share your thoughts. Let me know what you thought of the album. All I will say is that if you guys have listened to this podcast, you always hear me cringe at Kurt singing during the podcast, be it the LuchaWorld Podcast or the Lucha Classica Podcast. He's I think I'm gonna have to like apologize to Kurt for his singing. I think the reality is that we need to get Kurt in studio so he could actually have the same studio, like the professional sounding quality music song, singing, so it doesn't come off like he's as bad as he comes off on the podcast, because I think he could actually sing better than Ultimo Guerrero. I mean, it was, I don't want to say it was bad, but it was pretty bad. Yeah, it was bad, guys. I don't know if anybody wants to listen to it. I don't even want to. I normally I would even add like an intro using that song, but I think it's one of those. I think Setsuko sings in it also, and Ultimo Guerrero, God bless him for doing that stuff, but I don't know. He needs a little more work on that, on the DJing. Actually, I don't know the DJing part. Maybe just the singing part might be maybe he should stick to just doing the DJing part and not really like sing. Maybe hiring somebody to sing instead. That could work. But everybody, the old saying that they have work for basketball players. Basketball players want to be rappers. Rappers want to be basketball players. I think with Ultimo Guerrero, wrestlers want to be musicians. And I think he should probably stick to he also does that variety show, so I think he's trying to do a lot of stuff, so I don't know. I'm sure maybe some of you guys will enjoy it. It's not my cup of tea, so I didn't really like it. It was bad. Anyway, so that's all we have this week. I'm trying to think up of other stuff that I may have missed. I don't think I missed anything. That's basically all that's happened this past week. Check us out just visit us on LuchaWorld.com. We'll keep you updated on what's going on in Lucha Libre. Our next podcast, Lucha Classica, will be next week. It'll be the Villano 3 Atlantis podcast. A lot to talk about about that feud. Great rivalry. It's not anything like the Pierroth Diamante Azul feud that we've been suffering through. That feud was great. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, I actually rewatched a lot of the stuff. Not just the matches. There was a lot of promos and interviews and vignettes that they did. There's some stuff that happened out of CMLL just to keep building up the feud. It's going to be something that I think everyone's going to enjoy. I think when Kurt saw the notes, he kind of got scared about how long the podcast was going to last, because I think we went 50 minutes on Chavo, so I think he kind of worried about it. So that show should be good, and I think that's why I also wanted to do this on my own, because I kind of wanted to focus more on that. I didn't want Kurt to look at the time and start telling me it's time for us to wrap it up. So, be sure to check that out. That'll be the first subscriber only podcast that we'll be posting. So with that, thanks again for listening to the show.